Christmas ruined? Check. Thanksgiving ruined? Check. Halloween ruined? Check. Birthdays ruined? Check. If you are living or have lived with a high conflict personality person, a toxic person, or a person who displays narcissistic tendencies, you understand exactly what I'm saying. All the important events, the birthdays, the celebrations, the holidays, somehow become 100% about them. And if they're not about them, or even if they are about them, something goes wrong and it's all your fault. And those are ruined. And the thing is, we internalize that and we remember that. And we go into a holiday season and we're on pins and needles, we're walking on eggshells, and we're wondering what's going to happen this year. Or we don't even want to celebrate because they have been ruined, because we just don't want to feel that pain. If you understand what I'm saying, listen up. This episode is for you. Hey, beautiful disaster. Yeah, you. Here's the deal. You don't need to have your life together to start taking it back. You are not too messy, too broken, too old, or too late to start over. This podcast is where we turn your chaos into clarity, your heartbreak into healing, and your mess into your magic. I'm Marilee Grace, and together we're rewriting the story loudly, boldly, and unapologetically. Buckle up, gorgeous. It's your time to rise. Hello and happy Friday. My name is Marilee Grace. I'm the host of this podcast. Okay, so here's the deal. And today we are talking about how holidays make us feel because of the relationships we've been in, and how to get back the positive feelings, how to enjoy celebrations and holidays and birthdays once we have left and have divorced from that high conflict personality. Okay, so here's the deal. You can relate to that. Every woman that I have talked to has told me that they get just really pent up feelings, that they don't look forward to the holidays because they have such bad memories of holidays past, that for some reason they were ruined. They don't know what they did. They don't know what they said. They don't know what they didn't do, what they didn't say. Somehow they were ruined. And it was all her fault, or the kids' fault, or somebody else's fault. And meanwhile, you show up to the event and everything is just hunky-dory for the person who is the high conflict personality, and you end up looking like the negative Nancy, like the Debbie Downer, like the one who ruins everything. When in your head, you're trying to scramble through the conversations and what led up to the outburst, and what did you do wrong? What did you say? Let me tell you, once you are away from that, those events have peace. I promise they will be more peaceful. I remember the first Thanksgiving after I left. I left in the fall, so I had Thanksgiving. It was peaceful. It was nice. And then came Christmas, and the same thing. It was peaceful. It was nice. With one small little issue with Christmas. And I can't really go into the issue because it involved one of my children. And I do know that he was just struggling. So he wasn't necessarily the kindest person in the room. And he did kind of lash out at his mama. And it did hurt my feelings. And I removed myself from the situation for a time. I went down into the bedroom that I was staying in, and I sat in the closet and I had a good cry. And then after I was done crying, I snuggled up into my bed and I just let myself relax, take a little bit of a nap, and then I rejoined the festivities. I did discuss it with my son at a later date, but I wasn't going to make the holiday that was the first time that it wasn't chaos. I wasn't going to create chaos. So we just went about not trying to push any buttons, and we had a very wonderful evening. The first year that you are out of a marriage, you're going to go through the holidays, and they might feel a little bit numb. Hopefully they're calm. Hopefully they're more peaceful. You may have to deal with some parenting issues, but just know that you control how you react. And you can just take a deep breath and carry on and enjoy the festivities. I want to share with you what happened to me a full year after I left. My holidays had been peaceful. My holidays had been nice. And 1 year to the day of me leaving, I woke up at about 5 o'clock in the morning, which was unusual. And I just had a heavy feeling, a heavy spirit, a sadness about myself. And I remember thinking, where is this coming from? What is going on? Am I sick? Am I coming down with the flu? Do I have a cold? Do I have a sinus infection? Just doing a personal inventory. Why was my body feeling so heavy and so odd? And so I woke up, I started to journal, and I realized, it was a year ago today that I left. Am I feeling something about that? I couldn't quite put a pin on it. I couldn't quite figure out where this feeling was coming from. So I just continued to journal. And I journaled for almost an hour. And I just let the thoughts flow out my pen. And I realized I was grieving the loss. Fully grieving the loss. My divorce had been final for, it would have been about 4 months. But that particular day, the day I left, was the start of the end, the official start of the end, where I drew that line in the sand, I'm done. I'm getting a divorce. The papers are being served. I'm out of here. And this will be no more. So I sat in that feeling, and sometimes we just sit in the feeling and feel it. But I knew that the feeling had a grip on me, and I didn't know what to do. So as I was journaling, how do I get out of this feeling? What should I do? How do I get rid of this? And what exactly am I feeling and why? And what do I want to say? And it dawned on me, I want to write him a letter. I'm going to write him a letter, a 1-year letter, and I'm going to address some things that I couldn't address face to face. And so I set about writing a letter to him. And once I was done, I thought, what am I going to do with this letter? I'm not going to mail it. Heavens, no. I don't want to keep it. I need to release this. I need to have this be the final thoughts, the final communication, and release it. So I started to brainstorm. How could I release it? I could tear it up into a bajillion little pieces and throw it in the trash. Okay, yeah, I could do that. I could send it off in a helium balloon. I could burn it. I could shred it. I could, Lord, put it in the kitty litter if I had a cat, but I didn't have a cat, so that wouldn't work. My parents didn't have a cat, so that wouldn't work. I was at my parents' house when I was dealing with all this. And I decided I'm going to put the message in a bottle. And I'm going to go out to where it all began. You see, I was at home, at my parents' home, and I was probably about 20 minutes away from the location where he proposed to me, which happened to be on a riverbank. So I quietly went upstairs to my parents' kitchen and I crept out to the garage and I found an empty wine bottle and the cork was still there with it. And I decided, okay, this message is going in this bottle. I'm going to put a cork in it. I'm going to go out to the river and I'm going to release it. I'm going to release it to the universe. I'm not carrying this any longer. And I got kind of excited. So I wrote my parents a note. Don't worry about me. Ran out to grab some coffee and a muffin. I'll be back in a bit. Stopped at a drive-thru and got myself a cup of coffee. I usually don't splurge on things like that, but I thought I'm going to splurge. I'm going to really take care of myself this morning. Got myself a muffin and I drove to the river. Now it had changed a lot in about 30 years. The trees had gotten bigger. They'd gotten fuller. The path that we took to get down to the river was a little bit overgrown with just all sorts of different foliage. There were wildflowers. It was kind of a gray day. It was overcast. And I walked down to the bank and the riverbank was bigger because it was a little bit drier. And I took my letter and I read it to the universe. I released it out loud to the universe and I paced that riverbank back and forth. And as I read, I cried. And as I read, I got loud. And as I read, I let the anger out and I screamed some of it. And when I was done, I rolled it up tight. I put it in that bottle. I corked it. And then I gave it a heave and I shouted goodbye and the husband's name. And I watched it bob as it went down the river. Now, don't come at me. I'm a recycler too. I recycle glass. I recycle paper, cardboard, all the stuff. But for that instance, on that day, I needed the release. And it was okay by me that it was not eco-friendly. So, to tell you that I felt a burden release, it was the same feeling that I had felt a year ago when I left. The initial burden of, I did it. I'm out. I am free. And then a year later to pitch that into the river and think, I am emotionally free now. Not just physical, but emotionally too. Has life been hunky-dory since then? No, I have challenges. There will always be challenges. There will always be new little spots and new little kinks that come out, little kinks in the armor that you need to fix. But those two, the initial leaving and the purging of the feelings and getting it all out of my system and hurling it into the river, out into the universe, no longer for me to carry that burden, was such an impacting relief. So I don't know if you need to do something like that. My guess is probably yes. And from that date, that was in September of 2021, when I released into the universe via a wine bottle and a message in a bottle. And I got to thinking, that hit me from nowhere. I didn't expect it. I thought that it would be a celebration day. And I woke up heavily burdened. My body knew. My body was telling me something. What else will my body tell me? And when will it happen? When will things like this strike from nowhere? Because really, I did not anticipate being burdened that day by any heaviness from leaving. And I sat down and I thought, my next big event is next month, which would have been my 30th anniversary. I thought, I don't want to go through this every time. I don't want to be blindsided by emotions on any given day, whether it's an anniversary, a birthday, a holiday. I don't want to be unarmed. I don't want to have to be screaming like I was at 5 o'clock in the morning as I was journaling, going, what's going on? What's going on? What do I do? How do I deal with this big feeling? And why is it hitting me? And I truly do believe that your body keeps the score. Your body knows the events of your life. Your body knows those dates, and it's there subliminally. So I actively planned something a little bit bigger for what would have been my 30th anniversary. I planned a little excursion, a 5-day trip to Colorado. I went someplace where I'd never been before. I did some adventurous things that I'd never done before. I took my dog. It was just he and I, and we conquered that little corner of Colorado. And I watched the sun come up over the mountains, and I watched it set over the mountains. I went on walks. I hiked up to a waterfall. I ate when I wanted. I ate what I wanted. I drank a little bit of wine. I journaled. I didn't talk to a lot of people. I wanted just to be quiet. I wanted to be still. That's what my heart yearned for. And after that, and I got through that, and it was a wonderful, wonderful way to spend an anniversary that was not to be. And it was a wonderful way for me to spend a day that had grown into some not good feelings because of past events. And like I said in the very beginning, holidays, birthdays, celebrations, those tend to be tarnished. And they can be trigger days. So what I did after my Colorado trip is I sat down with my calendar and I wrote down every day that had a potential trigger. The birthdays, the anniversary, the holidays, even some of the smaller holidays. For sure, Mother's Day. Mother's Day was horrible for me when I was in my marriage. And I decided those days have potential triggers. And I was very aware and wrote it in my planner to plan something, have something to divert my attention, to celebrate, to form a new memory, a new happy memory, not the negative memory, not the sad memory, not the triggering memory, not the bad memory, not the it's all your fault because memory, something new. Make it happy, make it special, make it so where your body looks forward to that day. And I created a little toolkit, and I call it my Trigger Day Toolkit. I have ideas for things to do that are special, sometimes big, like Colorado, sometimes small, like walking down to the park and people watching, or going and grabbing a cup of coffee and going and sitting by the lake, going out with a friend, having a girls' night at my house. There are many things that you can do that can help to reform memories, to create new, better, happy memories. And it's important. It's important for you to recognize those days that were once bad and make them better. So I am going to be dropping my little, it's not really a template this time, like in the last episode. It's just an idea sheet, a how-to. It's an idea sheet. It's a how-to sheet. How to get through some of those days, how to recreate new memories, how to create new memories, how to make really happy memories. And I call it my Trigger Day Toolkit. I'm going to share it with you for you to use. And I'm going to take you step by step how to go through your calendar, mark it, and plan it. You found this episode helpful. I know that you have days that are rough, that have bad memories attached to them. And it's always the holidays, the birthdays, the celebrations, the events, the times that should be the happiest or the saddest. But you can change that. You have the power to change that. I believe in you. You can do it. Until next time, have a great day.
Hey, beautiful. Thank you for spending time with me today, and congratulations for showing up for yourself. If today's episode was helpful, share it with a friend and let me know in the comments what resonated most. Your feedback helps me create content that truly matters as we grow this community together. If you haven't already, subscribe and leave a review. It helps this podcast reach more women who need this space. Okay, so here's the deal. You can find me wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. I'll meet you back here next Friday. Until then, remember, you belong here. It's time to rise.